Hey everybody, this is Charlie, the Pennsylvania grain farmer, and I'm coming to you from here in my red shed. It's Sunday, I believe it's February 27th, and I thought today we would do a video on another one of my Oliver tractors, that being my Oliver Super 88. So today we're going to do a little bit of a history on it, and also, just take a walk around it and look at some of the features and some of the things that we've fixed and changed on it. In terms of history, this one's going to be fairly short because this is one of the tractors that I've had here on the farm for the least amount of time. I've only owned this tractor since 2017. That happened to be 2017 happened to be the year that I retired from my off the farm job, and I retired in June of that year. And as I was approaching retirement, I was thinking about getting another Oliver tractor because I've always loved them, and I guess I wanted to reward myself for 40 years of hard work off the farm. So I thought might be nice to get myself a little present. So I was looking around and looked at Tractor House and other places, but because there's usually not very much locally available anymore. All the Olivers have been pretty much picked over. But I happened to do a search on Olivers and came across this particular one on eBay. The person that had it advertised on eBay was not the owner, but he was somebody who I guess you could sort of say he was a dealer, but he used to take in a lot of tractors on consignment like this and then list them for the people on eBay because he was a little more savvy at that sort of thing. So I saw this tractor there. It was already painted. It was a little bit different from what you're seeing right now, but it was already painted. It looked pretty nice. They said it ran well and everything. So I actually contacted the person that listed it with a couple of questions. And after I was satisfied, then I did a buy it now on the tractor because I really wanted it, and made arrangements with another company to bring it here. This tractor came out of the state of Indiana. It was just a little bit inside the Indiana-Ohio border, but I don't remember the exact town it was in. But I was able to get a hold of a company that does hauling, and they were able to arrange for a guy with a pickup truck and a trailer to bring it out here to Western Pennsylvania for me. So that's how it got here. Okay, a little bit about the Super 88 in general before we take a specific look at this tractor. The Oliver Super 88s were made from 1954 until 1958. They followed the Fleetline series, the 66, or I guess I should say starting with the 44 and going through the 77 and 88 up to the 99. So this series was produced for several years after the Fleetlines. This tractor was made in Charles City, Iowa, and it was made it was built in 1957. Now, when you look at it, some Oliver enthusiasts may notice that it does have red wheels, but that's because the Super Series started out with green wheels, to the best of my knowledge, and went that way for several years, starting in 1954. But people didn't seem to like that paint scheme quite as well. So my understanding was in 1957, the year that this tractor was made, and for those last couple of years, they went back to the red wheels, just like the regular Fleetline series had. Also, another difference you'll notice is that instead of this strip in the front on the grill being red, on the Fleetline series it's green. And also, unlike the Fleetline series, this strip that goes over the top is also green on the Super Series. So that was a little bit of difference. This tractor was supposed to cost about $4,000 when it was new in 1958. The Super 88 had a drawbar tested horsepower of 47.08 and a belt tested horsepower of 55.77. And that means that this tractor, in relative terms, would be somewhere probably in between my 1550 and my 1650, just a little bit greater in horsepower than what the 1550 was. It's powered by a 265 cubic inch Waukesha Oliver gasoline engine, and has manual steering. There's no power steering on it. It has dry disc brakes and a 6-gear transmission. The fuel tank holds about 20 gallons. It has a 540 RPM PTO, and weighs approximately 5,400 pounds. This one might weigh a little bit more because we, as you'll see in a few minutes, we put bigger rear tires on it. And although it doesn't have weights, it does have liquid calcium in the tires to give it a little more weight. So I thought at this point we'd do a little walk around and I'll go over some of the features of this tractor. After I bought it, and that was in, I believe, April of 2017, and had it brought home here. I had it here on the farm for about a year, and it ran fine and everything. But then there were a couple minor problems with it, so I took it up to my mechanic friend Joe that you always hear me talk about in other videos. And I told him basically just to go over it and to fix everything, because I wanted one tractor that I hate to call it a trailer queen or a parade tractor, but that's sort of what it is for me. You know, all my other tractors are in their work clothes, and I wanted one tractor that was painted up and would look nice if I ever wanted to take it to a parade or a show or the county fair. I could do that with it. And no, it's not perfect, but I think it's a pretty good looking tractor. So I took it to Joe and I told him, I said, I told him the things that I thought needed worked on, but I also said, just go over everything and, make it the way you'd want it to be. And Joe's the kind that he won't fix anything that doesn't need fixed, but if anything is wrong with it, he will fix it and make sure that it's right before it leaves his shop. So one of the things that he did that I wasn't really expecting, but I'm glad that we decided to do this, was that he put a wide front end under it. And at this point, I'm going to put in some pictures of what this tractor looked like whenever I was looking at it when it was on eBay, that shows it with the narrow front end. So it originally had the narrow front. He had an 88 or a Super 88 that had a wide front. He wanted a narrow front. So, we ended up doing a little negotiation there, and we swapped. And he put this new wide front under it for me, which I really like. I like the look, and I also like how it handles. The tires were the original tires that I got with it, because it had brand new fronts on it, so we didn't have to do anything different with that. Okay, another thing he did, the tractor came with a straight pipe, and he likes, the original, what they would have came with, and I believe they came originally with Nelson mufflers, not the cheaper Stanleys that most of us put on our farm tractors. So he went ahead and put a Nelson muffler on it. While he had it there, he replaced this hose that goes from the air cleaner to the carburetor, which was getting pretty bad. He also replaced the fuel line. He put a shutoff valve in there for me, and even though it has a sediment bowl, he also put an inline filter in it as well. This has a Zenith carburetor, which he doesn't feel is big enough. He's looking for another carburetor for me. One of the problems that we're finding, or that we're having finding one, is the distance between these two bolts. It seems to be a little bit different from what he expected, and he had brought a carburetor, a new rebuilt carburetor out for me, but it didn't want to bolt up, so he measured that, and he's in the process of looking again. All right, something else that Joe did for me was that he put bigger rear tires on it. This tractor would have had the same tires originally as what my 77 did, and that's 13.6 by 38. And the original ones, they weren't worn out, but they were really badly cracked. And to the point where I was, worried about them. They were getting dry rotted, so we needed to put tires on it. And he said, I think it would look better if we put bigger rears on it. He said it would look good. He said it would also help to level the tractor out a little bit more. So he found this set of brand new 18.434s. Now, since my other tires were 38s, that means that we needed a set of 34-inch rims. So he happened to have a set up there. He cleaned them up and painted them, and put the new rims and tires on, and he just kept my old 38-inch rims. So basically the tractor has new tires front and rear. Okay, something that I did to this tractor myself was that I replaced this entire seat mechanism. On the old one, these rubber torsion springs were bad, and also the bushings that go in here, they were all shot. Also, they were so bad that even these rounded pieces here were worn off, so it didn't even seem like a new set of bushings was going to help. And Corvs Oliver started to reproduce these for the Super Series, including made in USA, rubber torsion springs. So I ordered one for it. I'd already put one on my 77 and I liked it a lot. So I ordered one for this tractor, and that made the seat a whole lot better. While Joe had this tractor, he also changed the hydraulic hoses for me because they were bad, and he put a new setup here to hold the 4 couplers that are in the back, and that made it a lot nicer looking than it was before, and a lot more convenient as well. While we had it there, Joe also made me this slow moving vehicle sign, which we're supposed to use here in Pennsylvania when we're on the road. I'm not on the road that much because all my property that I farm is here on the farm, but sometimes I do take it over to the neighbors and such. So he made me this sign, and it just sits in the back here. Okay, he just welded a bolt to the bottom of this angle iron, and made a holder for it so I can slip it right in there. And if I'm doing something with the PTO and it's going to be in the way, I can easily take it off again. But that works out pretty well, and I thought was a pretty good idea. Now, when I got this tractor, the brakes were seized up, not in the discs here, but this shaft has to turn when the brakes are operated, and those shafts were completely seized up. So Joe also loosened them up for me. Okay, and in addition to that, he also put a new charging unit on. This is one like a couple of my other tractors have that does not require a voltage regulator, so that's kind of a nice thing. So he did a number of things to this tractor. He had it all apart. The one thing that was good on this tractor most definitely was the engine. He got it, he tested it, checked the compression, he ran it, and he ran it kind of hard just to see, and he said that's a very strong engine. But he noticed that as he looked things over, that the input shaft needed change, so he did take the engine out of the tractor and worked on that input shaft. He also then went through all the hydraulics, he went through the transmission for me, went through the rear end, and made sure that everything was right. There were a number of things that he had to fix that we didn't even know at the time were problems, but my suspicion from everything that I've learned and experienced with this tractor is that I think it was a tractor that had sat in a fence row somewhere, and the previous owner pulled it out, rebuilt the engine, put fresh paint on it, and was selling it that way. But there were a lot of little things that were wrong, and thankfully Joe checked everything over, and now it's working pretty well. Something that he did just recently, prior to that time when he had it and did most of the fixes, was to work on my shifter a little bit, because I went to start it one day and to move it here in the red shed, and for some reason it didn't want to come out of the upper level of gears. It would move there, but it wouldn't move to the other half of the transmission. And here, what had happened, the little finger that's down at the bottom of the shifter shaft here was a little bit worn off, and it needed to go further down in. So what Joe did was that he took this base off and took it to a local machine shop and actually had them machine that a little bit and make it a little bit thinner. So then he said he's done that before, so then that shifter would fit down inside where it's supposed to be. And ever since he did that, that shifter is working pretty well. All right, now we're up in the operator's platform. This is what it looks like when you're sitting on the tractor and actually driving it. But from this angle, it looks pretty much just like the Fleetline series. It has the longer knobs, which the Super 88 was known for, and the Super 77 longer than what the 77s and 88s had. It also has a tachometer, and believe it or not, that is a factory tach. That tachometer was an option on the Super 88, and this is an original one, and it does work. This tractor had the hydroelectric system to use with the hydraulics. However, all the wiring was old and dry rotted and cracked up, and Joe said it wasn't worth messing with, so he just took all that apart. He also added this little Oliver badge here because there was a spot underneath there that had bubbled up with rust, and rather than since it was already repainted, rather than trying to clean that up and blend the paint, it was easier for him just to clean it up a little bit, and then he completely covered that up. Like the other Fleet lines and the Super Series, this tractor has a 6-speed transmission. At this point in time, there was no hydropower or hydral shift or anything like that. So it's just a 6-speed transmission. And it's that same double H pattern that the Olivers have always had. So you have first, second, fifth, and reverse 1 at the bottom, and third, fourth, sixth, and reverse 2 up at the top. Okay, so it has 6 forward speeds and 2 speeds in reverse. And Joe told me from running it, he could tell that this tractor has a low speed rear end in it. Something else that Joe did, which I kind of got a chuckle at, whenever he was done working on this a couple years ago and he brought it back to me, for some reason he took the keys out and handed them to me, and he said, "Here you go." And they felt a little different, so I took a look down in my hand to see what it was, and here he had gotten me this little key fob which says Princess, and that was meant to be a joke because he knew that once this tractor got all fixed up that that it really wasn't going to do a lot of work anymore, that it was going to be more of a show tractor. So that's why he and my other friends now jokingly refer to it as Princess. But it's not like it doesn't do anything. I do some things with it, just nothing that's going to mess up the paint or get it out in the mud or get it greasy or anything like that. So primarily what I do with it, I might rake or ted some hay. I haul hay or gravity wagons with it with oats in the summertime whenever everything's dry, and things like that. But I do try to get it out to run it and to stretch its legs a little bit. And sometimes I'll just take it out for a ride around the farm just because I enjoy it. And that's the reason that I bought this thing. So I think that's a pretty complete look at this old Oliver Super 88. I really enjoy it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would appreciate you hitting the like button and to subscribe to my channel if you already haven't. If you have subscribed to my channel, then I say thank you for that. I appreciate it, and I hope that you'll recommend this channel to other people who might find it interesting. So at this point, this is Charlie, the PA grain farmer, saying, see you next time.